Oh my.
My source is that I made it up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the made-up
Hello,
stream.
Woo!
Hello, Mario.
This stream probably won't be... Well, it's probably going to be normal time. But,
it's going to be normal length, but not all of it's going to be Umineko. I'm just going to get that out of the way right now, because we're only going to be doing the tea party and the question marks tea party of Umineko. That being said, we've basically explained to everybody that this is the big final time to get your dick-swinging theories out there in the open before we get into the real bullshit. Because 7 and 8, not a lot of room for theory crafting.
Yes, effectively, the theory crafting will just be people's reactions.
This is also going to be sort of a preamble for anybody who's following along on the YouTube side of things, because obviously if you don't really care about theories and you just want to watch us read Umineko, then basically this video is only going to be like 45 to 50 minutes long for you, so don't worry about that.
You know what? I know it might make it longer on the original, but why don't I slap the tea parties here onto the last part when I edit it?
Yeah, sure, fair enough.
This whole part can be dedicated to the finale of all theories.
Discussions.
Or discussions, whatever you want to call it.
Nice. Okay, then. So then, yeah, just take this bit and then put it at the beginning of that video.
Answer pit, answer pit, answer pit, answer pit!
So, enough fucking around. Let's just get right into it. As soon as I find where I put the Umineko folder on my computer, there it is.
Wow.
I already know where it is. I just don't remember where it is.
Telling me you don't have a desktop shortcut for Umineko? What the fuck?
I have a folder for Umineko. I don't.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you get a shortcut for Umineko.
Fancy.
And you get a shortcut that just opens up a picture of Erica.
Wee.
I completely forgot
Jesus
I had that
Christ.
MP3. Like, I guess. It's so funny.
There have been so many times I wanted to just start going wah from no reason whatsoever in that voice.
Why
But
is
I
it
needed it. I had to hold it in. I had to hold it back.
Why was she called Zaz's wife again? Was it just the chopsticks?
It was a mixture of chopsticks, and plus, he was the one person talking about that character the most.
Does Zaz have a strange connection with chopsticks?
Yes.
He uses chopsticks to eat a variety of things. Like, for example, yesterday while we were playing Persona 4, he was eating pizza with chopsticks.
He's toned it down now, but he used to incessantly post her and use her emojis and stuff like that.
Don't talk about the guy like he's not here.
I will. It's better this way.
It's better this way.
But
Not worthy of acknowledgement.
It has to be this way.
Apparently, this episode of Umineko no Naku Kodo ni is brought to you by the concept of black tea.
Yay, black tea.
Alrighty then, we got audio up. Bitches are ready.
Hey,
It's
Lindy,
me.
we got
I'm
this.
bitches.
No, we already agreed that earlier. Orange is bitch.
is he?
Alrighty then. Tea
He's
party
accepted.
time.
Sorry, I'm just a bit tired.
I
Really?
believe in you, Con. You'll be
A
fine.
little nauseous. But don't worry, I'm fine.
Eggy. Time to get married.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3. Then let the pair exchange. Oh fuck! Damn, Rindy.
What is it?
The one.
She did a countdown even.
I was like,
fuck!
I told you the first line was gonna be this.
Yeah, you did.
Here, let me adjust the audio real quickly just to make sure people can be heard. Alright, let me just turn the
Alright.
echo a bit.
You try
Okay,
this-
go now.
All right, try this again. 3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
Then
Then
let the pair exchange their rings.
This was never
You have a
going
hard
to work.
time. You have a hard time, like
Look,
talking while someone else is
do you want us
talking.
to like mute B and then go?
No,
Yeah,
you know what? Fuck it. Hold on.
We
No,
already
we
did
had it. No, we had it right when we were just doing half lines.
Yay! Let's do it.
Wow. Wow.
That's getting cut out.
yeah. Anyways, Vito took Battler's hand and put a ring with the seal of the one-winged eagle on his finger. Are you sure?
You already are the territory lord. So this ring belongs to you, Battler-san.
You're really sure? At this rate, the world you created, and this tale.
Yes. I created this tale because I wished to be with you. That means the purpose of this world has been fulfilled. So from now on, I want you to write it. The continuing tale of you and me. Or is doing it like that too awkward for you? I'm just pushing the tires and task of territory lord onto you anyway. It's much easier being alive, where you only have to brag. I just need to play around and wait for you to write a new tale. And for each new tale you write, I'll play any part you need. Be it an evil witch, or a rival, a lover, or a wife.
My tales are pretty intense. I'll be busy from dusk till dawn.
Indeed. Bring it on.
Viedo's hand relinquished the ring of the territory lord. From Battler, she received a silver ring with a crest that could only be worn by the wife of the territory lord.
Ah, the CG! I love it!
They exchanged their rings, and their wedding was complete. And the pair turned around, faced the packed crowd of guests, and raised their rings high. A thunderous applause rang out for them.
As a memorial to this night's events, the Great Territory Lord will now recognize the accomplishments of certain people.
Hey, what the fuck? Hold on a sec.
Son of a bitch.
No, it isn't.
Apologies, my father was just dropping off underwear to my room. Okay then.
Let those called come forward.
At Battler's nod, Viedo read the name of the first guest to be recognized.
Cannon. Come forward.
Cannon-kun?
A girl goat pushed her way through the crowd, took off her mask, and yelled. A cloud of gold butterflies gathered before Battler and Beaton. Took the form of Cannon, kneeling in front of these two nobles. Cannon had already died and vanished. However, all of the dead revive in the Golden Land.
Cannon, right here.
When my husband was locked up and in danger, you rescued him and displayed your capability for self-sacrifice by choosing to remain in that eternal prison in his place. Such devotion is deserving of an award. Therefore, we will allow for your resurrection, as well as your continued service.
Yes, ma'am. I am honored and delighted.
Cannon-kun! Yoshio-kun! Yoshio-kun!
Jessica raced forward and landed sobbing into Cannon's chest. Cannon patted her head gently and held her. You won't be serving as furniture. You'll be serving as a human. You understand what that means?
Yes.
After glancing at Jessica sobbing, he looked at Battler again and nodded forcefully.
Now for the next pair. Ushirimiya George and Shannon. Come forward.
Yes.
Yes.
George and Shannon were the next to be called. Perhaps they had already readied themselves. They walked forward and boldly kneeled.
Is Jeremy and George right here?
Shannon, right here.
You two withstood Zapar and Furfur's trials until the very end. Your great achievements in affection, determination, and nobility are exemplary and deserving of an award. Therefore, your marriage certificate has been issued with the Territory Lord's signature.
We
are
honored.
we are
honored. And, wait,
and
I thought,
delighted.
and delighted. I thought we were going at the same time. Fuck.
I tried to.
You were close enough.
Oh,
We kept
God.
stopping.
You did it.
No one will be allowed to object to this certificate. Let the families of those recognized bless their union with all their hearts.
And so, now there's nothing stopping these two. Let's all throw a rice at them and celebrate. Hey, congrats, you two! When the Territory Lord clapped his hands in celebration, it spread throughout the entire cathedral. Then a group of goats in the front line of the crowd took their masks off one by one.
Listen up, okay? I'll never forgive you if you make too much salty miso soup. And George is getting a little weight, so go easy on the sugar.
George, when a man gets married, he's gotta treasure his wife even more than his parents. No matter what your mother says, you make sure you protect Shannon.
Yes, of course.
George-san.
Don't trust that smile.
George needs a solid 7 hours of sleep each night. I'll never forgive you if you let him stay up late. Do you hear me? And don't forget, washing his back and cleaning his ears are also wife's responsibilities.
Is that true? What have I done?
Wife's job can vary depending on the family.
Rudolph-san, have you been treasuring your wife?
Of course. Why would you doubt that?
Find happiness, you two. Marriage isn't a goal. It's just the starting line, okay?
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Ryu! Congratulations!
I forgot about this guy.
We mustn't lose either.
Yeah, no, we were losing, damn it.
All of the Ashramia family, all the servants, and all the spirits and demons in attendance celebrated the honorees with an even greater applause. And so, the curtain closes on the tale woven by the Golden Witch. Perhaps you would finish this tale with their epitaph. The following is the passage of the Golden Land, from the epitaph of the Golden Witch. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold from the Golden Land. One shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls. One shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. One shall be to put the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch, Beatrice.
So this means Beato was satisfied and put to sleep?
That interpretation is probably appropriate.
And? Now that the game's over, Oni-chan will be released, right? What will he do next?
Who knows? The book of this fragment tells no more of the story.
So, in the end, we don't even get to see what comes next for him. nothing comes next for him. In the end, Oni-chan and the others never came back. They reached the Golden Land and had a great time together there. Even if the tale tells us that, the truth is that everyone died in that huge accident. Still, we learned a lot of very interesting things. It seems that island really was a crazy island of illusions.
Indeed. And your reading was truly wonderful.
I feel worn out, like watching a 6-hour movie all at once. I'm tired.
Ushuramiya Hanji. You truly have worked hard. Your reading has soothed my boredom. I, Featherin, am more grateful to you than I have been for so many years that I cannot remember.
If you're grateful, why can't I have some kind of reward too?
What would be good? Give me some time. I will think.
Featherin sat down in a rocking chair and rocked it, apparently trying to think of something.
Ushuramiya Angie. You really have worked hard. You've done well to keep reading for me until the end. With this, your responsibilities as my Miko are lifted. You may return to your original world and be reunited with the fate you have been given.
Sheesh. Feels like this was one hell of a side trip.
Do not pout. I'm thinking of a reward now. Yes, that's something I haven't done much. Or rather at all, for quite some time. I imagine the ink from the bottle is dried up by now.
Even after the tale ended, Anji and Hachijo's debate over it continued for quite some time. It had been very serious and fiery. Anji acknowledged that this tale was no crazy literary work, but a new message bottle, which drifted here once more from the Rokenjima of 12 years previous, to tell her of one truth. And it seemed as though she had found her own interpretation of the truth she thought the tale was trying to tell. Of course, there was only one truth, and it did not mean an end to her journey. However, maybe it can be viewed this way. It wasn't sufficient to fill the 12-year gap in her heart. However, at that moment, just enjoying the feeling, along with the bitter coffee Hachijo had made, was enough.
Thank you for reading until the end. And thank you for your thoughts and opinions. I'm sure the very first Endless Witch is happy.
Wow, so you can bring yourself to say stuff like that. If you just talk like that from the beginning, you'd have tons more fans.
I'm merely praising the wonderful reader that you most certainly are. I just wanted to say that spending the time I have left in my life writing for you alone was much more productive than writing for those pigs who do not talk and cannot think would have been.
That's just the kind of thing you'd be better off not saying. Well, I'll take it as a compliment. Okay. I get the feeling that I've spent a really, really long time here. It feels as though I've spent a major fraction of my life here. Though it should feel uncomfortable, sitting here on a sofa in someone else's house. For some strange reason, it feels as familiar as my own home. However, the clock says it's only been about 2 or 3 hours since I met her. My sense of time feels very strange.
Your friend seems to be taking his time.
It must be a long phone call. It's creepy for a guy to talk that long on the phone. He said he was going to make a scheduled report to Okanogi-san, didn't he? Even though he was told that he could use the phone here, he declined and went to look for a public phone somewhere. Something about how he didn't want to risk being bugged. Ugh, he's a moron, so I'll let him do what he wants. Is the nearest public phone far?
If you go out onto the street, there's a store on the corner a short ways down.
Then I'll be on my way. You can use this to pay for food or whatever.
If I let you keep that money, will you come again and read my next manuscript and tell me your opinions?
You're willing to pay rolls of money to get an uncute girl like me to read your manuscript?
No. You are a really good, clear-thinking reader. We create these tales and throw them out into the world in search of people like you.
You praise me too much. I just take books a little too seriously.
As thanks for the considerable time you've given me, I will someday write your tale.
Am I going to appear in one of your forgeries again? I hope you kill me in a slightly better way this time.
Do you like miracles?
You mean like a Deus Ex Machina plot development? I used to hate them, but recently I've become a big fan. Still, I've become a bit of a picky eater, and simply falling from a skyscraper and ending up unharmed doesn't quite qualify as miracle to me anymore.
Then perhaps one day I'll write a tale that you will consider a miracle.
I'm really sorry for barging in all of a sudden saying all kinds of mean things.
No, it was a worthwhile conversation. I wonder if my head editor will set up another meeting between the two of us.
Sure, if there's another chance for one. See you again. Have a nice day.
Yes, it may happen again sometime. I pray that you find your truth.
Thank you.
And if you ever do reach a truth of your own, please try making that a tale as well someday.
You want me to become one of you witches? I wonder. I'm bad at writing. A good reader isn't necessarily a good writer, you know.
Quite true. I myself can never read anything written by anyone else.
Sheesh. Huh. Then I'm off.
After this, I will probably never see you again. But I pray I will be fortunate enough to meet another you someday, somewhere.
Can I ask you one last question?
Go ahead.
That featherin witch, who appeared within the tale, that's you, right?
It may be presumptuous of me to say it, but that was my intention.
This might be a strange question, but... are you Featherin? Or is Featherin you?
Well now, what might you be talking about?
That mysterious woman was mysterious to the last. And so the day of which I had no memories ended, and on the following day, I would take a boat to Nijima. I'll probably never meet her again. However, that just means that I won't meet her, so some other me might meet her somewhere down the road. Just as I have reached several truths, they must also want to reach the good truth. So long, Featherin. If you ever write a decent story, please call me again. If I'm free, I might drop by.
No problem. It's the most luxurious escort job I've ever had. I'd almost like to invite you along, sir.
Take a pass on that. You know how old I am. I'm done running around all over the place.
The first one out of the line was Okanogi. Okanogi was also a man who tended to move from place to place, so it hadn't been easy to catch him even on the phone.
Our trip's been pretty cool, and right now, there's no need to run around.
Sumadere Kasumi is searching for you like mad. According to our informants, she's already gone to ride to Rockinjima. You'll bump into her there.
So, just as planned.
It'll likely just be for 5 or 6 people at most. And they'll probably be armed with nothing more than handguns. They're no match for you. Feel free to run wild, but make sure you kill them. Were you able to acquire one of your favorite toys?
Of course. I'm surprised you managed to arrange for it in this country.
Behind Amakusa was the rental car they'd borrowed under a false name, inside of which was now a black golf bag.
The Sumadera head family has already given the okay, but make sure you get out of Japan as soon as you're done. Don't forget to buy your cup ramen by the box in Narita before your flight out.
I'll take care of this time. It's an easy job.
Also, you do understand about that, right?
That? Well, I'm not sure what you mean.
Playing dumb, are we? Well, that's okay. Despite how you talk, you've never betrayed my expectations in the past. If you're clever about it, you won't even have to get your hands dirty. There should be plenty of ways to handle it.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I realize that Anji-chan is a child to be pitied. If only she could have just stayed true to that and acted the part of a secluded young lady. Well, when we decided to join forces after Ava-san's death, we've reached an agreement. This little portable shrine of ours is important, but she's also a liability. This is for the sake of world peace as well, okay?
So, watch and see how it goes. Hope those Sumidere black suits know how to shoot a gun, right? Hmm? What is it, sir?
Don't tell me, after a few days on the run, you and Anji-chan have already hooked up?
Me and that bratty little girl? Please.
Ah, well, it's not like I care. And it just means you finally managed to break free enough that you can take passes at girls, right? Half the world is made up of women. You'll never last if just one or two of them make you freeze up.
Oh, speak of the devil. She's here. Guess that's all for today. I'll contact you after I reach the logins on Ninjima. Later.
You say Mainjima? It's Nijima.
No, I said Nijima, yeah. I said Nijima.
Apologies. Angie was walking down the street. Oh, that's actually him talking.
Why'd she have to do that, when I told her to wait for me to come back? If only she wasn't like this, she might have lived a long life.
That was a pretty long call. I was so tired of waiting that I left.
Sorry about that. How was it for you, lady? Did you learn anything interesting?
It was interesting. I've harvested all I need.
Ha! Sounds cool.
After Amakusa opened the passenger side door, Angie got in the car. Amakusa quickly went around to the driver's seat.
Then let's head to the harbor. According to the old man, the Sumidere family has set up a net.
If we do get caught, then that's the measure of my luck. If we don't, then Rikenjima is waiting for me. Let's leave it all to luck.
Luck, is it?
When you can't decide what to do. Or when it doesn't matter either way. It's not so bad to entrust your fate to a coin toss.
Then I guess I'll try leaving it to luck too. Gotta admit, I'm a fan of that kind of thing.
Great. My bodyguard just said he's gonna leave everything to luck. Wonderful.
I had to leave for that cell phone call, so I totally missed the clincher. What happened after I left? Let's hear it.
No, I'm not telling.
That's a shame.
Car dashed through the hilly town. That car wouldn't return to Hachito Toya's house for all eternity. However, Angie didn't get sentimental about it. For now, she just wanted to silently consider the new message bottle the current endless witch, Hachito Toya, had given her. In the rearview mirror of the town, where a witch lived, faded out into the distance. However, that scene wasn't reflected in Angie's eyes.
I love Thanks for All the People.
And pretty good track.
The amount of title drops in this game fucking send me.
Huh?
Like
Umineko no Kokoro, by the way.
Umineko! By the way, here's the next part.
Next part.
No, I mean like
Well,
what is it? Like it was
when
the
it's-
tea
when it
party in
ends-
episode 6. Then it's like, no, okay, here's the next part.
Just like Homestuck.
No!
Stop.
Oh
I mean,
my god.
I mean, you guys didn't read it.
Lambda, where are you? Just having to say that felt like admitting defeat, and I didn't like it. Why is it that she's always so obnoxious and clingy when I don't need her, and then won't answer when I call her name? Where am I? Annoyed by the completely predictable ending, I'd left the cathedral. I'd planned on finding some terrace with a cool night's breeze to kill time on until the end of the farcical reception. It's true that I had to find somewhere desolate so that I wouldn't have to look at people. But this is a bit ridiculous. I, the great Berncastel, am lost? A miracle like that certainly wouldn't happen. Yes, miracles don't exist in this world. To create a miracle, you need an amount of time that can never be reached, a period that's no different from infinity. So when something that appears to be a miracle happens in a shorter span of time than that, it is not a miracle, but the product of someone's design. In other words, the reason I'm walking down this corridor is because someone's design has forced me here. Who? Who would have pulled such a complicated prank on me? It looks like you're quite the shy one, calling me out to a desolate place like this. Then, from the other end of the dark corridor, I heard a sound. It sounded as though some small animal, like a dog or a cat, was walking at a quick pace. No miracle could cause a dog or cat to be in a place like this. Such a miracle would not be allowed. Since it isn't a miracle, that means I'm being guided in that direction. Very well. This might be some new theme to keep me entertained. If this is some new joke of Lambda's, I'll cover her whole body with honey using my tongue as a reward. And then, I'll stick parasol chocolates into her eyes and tell her to never do it again. In the direction the noise had come from, it was not only dim, but shrouded in complete darkness. However, I could sense something in that darkness. There were two emerald green glints, probably cat eyes. The eyes of a black cat that peered through the darkness. Are you the one who called me here? Or are you just the messenger? When I looked at my feet, I saw red cat paw prints leading towards those cat eyes. The marks were unsettling, as though the cat had run through a pool of blood. When my eyes adjusted to the darkness, even then with the lack of light, I was vaguely able to make out these red footprints. They weren't actually glowing or anything, but they served perfectly well as a signpost leading me onwards. As though it was telling me to follow. The cat turned around and dashed off into the darkness. What is it? Something feels very strange. It's a feeling I haven't felt since I began calling myself the cruelest witch in the world. I can't quite remember what this feeling is. Still, for one as tired of boredom as me, it's certainly more fun this way. I followed the bloody footprints of the cat, which would sometimes stop and look back at me, and walked on and on through the dark corridor. Forward, turn. Head down what appeared to be stairs from time to time. And then, though I couldn't really tell because of the darkness, it went in through the crack of a door. Here? I pushed the door open slowly, but it was dark on the inside, just like the corridor. However, the air and the slight change in the echoes made by the footsteps told me that this was a room, not a corridor. The sounds of the cat's footsteps were gone. However, the bloody footprints remained. On the other side of some sort of wooden screen, under what looked like a small spotlight, there was that same black cat, gobbling down some blood-stained pet food. I see. So, this is its reward for bringing me here. Cat. Sorry to bother you during your meal, but I'd like you to summon your master. That is, unless you're actually the one who summoned me. Talking to it didn't cause it to turn around. Well, I guess it is an animal eating its food. If I kick it away, it'll probably run off to its owner. When I did kick the cat, it sailed away like a stuffed animal, hit the wall, and fell to the ground. Then it vanished, melting into the darkness. What's with this cat? Is it just an illusion? When I looked at its food plate, it was piled up with what appeared to be blood-drenched raw meat. It was as though someone had torn apart living flesh on the spot. And piled it up on there. Come on, what's with the creepy reception?
That was a mean thing to do. Kicking it.
The instant I heard that voice, the hairs in the back of my neck stood on end. Then, the surrounding area finally brightened. However,
Burncast already guessed where this was before it grew bright.
That was you, was it not? That cat. A cat who's learned how to eat meat, and that it can sometimes choose its own path. It has been a long time.
it's a path I might never have to know about if you hadn't told me. You're the monster who taught me the taste of flesh. So, you've come back to life. Feather and Aurora.
Augustus Aurora. You never learn, no matter how often I tell you that. Very well. Even that brings back fond memories. I've heard the rumors. It seems you've taken the name Berkenstell, Witch of Miracles, and have been playing a far from praiseworthy fragment game.
I'm just imitating you. Though I could hardly match up to your level. If the rumors you've heard about me are bad, that applies 100-fold to you.
Berncastle sat unreservedly in an antique chair, as though she was already familiar with the place.
What are you afraid of? I'm merely celebrating my reunion with my longest-serving Miko so far. Did you really find my messenger cat so displeasing?
Berncastle's manner seemed completely relaxed. However, Featherrain admonished her, telling her not to be afraid. And judging by the expression that had risen to Burn's face, Featherrain had been right on the mark.
Did you really have to make such blunt insinuations against me? A cat leaving behind bloody footprints and stuffing its face with blood-stained meat.
Have no fear. Look closely. Do you see any cat stuffing its face with meat? I just gave it a plate of biscuits as a reward for going to get you.
It was as though soot, covering the plate at her feet, was blown away, even though there was no wind. There lay an adorable and perfectly normal cat dish, with a pile of small biscuits on top of it. Berncastle didn't even hide her displeased grimace. Fethrin shrugged and muttered,
You haven't changed, child of man.
As she rocked in her rocking chair.
I see you're as unpleasant as ever. But I'm happy now. Imitating you really has been far from boring.
Scold me as you please. It is the parting gift I gave you when we last met.
You liked rude Mikos because they kept you entertained, right? Ridiculous. If talking will only please you, I'll shut up. So, what do you want with me?
It seems Beatrice's game has ended with Battler's victory. I observed it. It was quite entertaining.
I'm sure you liked seeing me fail miserably.
Nonsense. It was a splendid performance. I'm sure Beato is very grateful to you.
And if you want me to read the fragments of Beato's game aloud for you, I refuse. I'm not your Miko anymore.
I have observed all of Beato's games. I've also watched Lambda Delta's game and Battler's game with great interest. I believed I formed an answer for all the riddles in my own way. The culprit, the motive, the individual tricks. I'm not yet clear about the very last part of the epitaph's riddle, but I have enough of a theory that if I actually went to Rokenjima and investigated, I should be able to resolve that part as well.
And?
Of course, since there's no single truth, my theory is probably only one of many possibilities. However, that is only a question of possibilities, a trivial problem.
What are you up to? Do you want to debate Beato's game with me?
Wrong. What I want is to look at the answers, child of man.
Those words of Fetherin's made Berncastle straighten up. Her old master did not fail to notice that small reaction.
So far, you have spiced up this tale as an actor. In doing that, you've probably come to know many truths. However, even you are unaware of the truth behind several riddles that Beato has cleverly kept hidden, correct?
I see. You want to use me to chew apart and string out the guts of something again.
After watching a play, reading the pamphlet and learning what goes on behind the scenes is similar to, as you would say it, enjoying some black tea after a meal. That enjoyment cannot be left undone.
You like to play with them and love them while they're alive, then eat their flesh when they die. So, cats are doubly useful to you. Just die, monster. Shine, Pokemono.
I want to look at the answers. I'm sure you want to know them. Think of it as a burial for Beato's corpse when you're in charge of the service. What do you say to that, child of man?
Now, you're starting to speak my language.
When Featherin snapped her fingers, a thin spotlight appeared on the table, which was covered with cluttered books. There lay a folded version of the game board for Beato's game. The Witch of Theater going spun her finger in a circle, and the game board opened by itself, showing the black and white pieces lined up inside it.
The game board and all the pieces are gathered here. The records for the previous games are all present as well.
With a rustling sound, the book flipped through all the pages of its own accord, front to back, shut itself and flew to the side of the game board where it waited. Inside it, all of the movements of the pieces during previous games were recorded.
I see. So you were short a player and a commentator.
We're also short on black tea. Similarly with dried plums. Of course I will find some.
Okay. If you add on some mustard rice cakes, then we have a deal.
The negotiations aren't concluded.
I have one condition.
Oh, and what is that?
I'm going to be the reader, okay? I have no love, so a few things might be interpreted in an odd way. However, the reader is free to read things in a manner and with an indentation of her choosing.
I only want to check the answers. I don't particularly care about the tale itself. I'm not deeply interested in what sort of tale you create. Ah, yes. Now I see what you're after.
Will you accept that condition?
Very well. I want to know the answer. You have your grudge to worry about. The negotiations are concluded.
When Featherin snapped her fingers once more, a large chair appeared as though beckoning Berncastel to sit there. It was a throne, horribly mismatched with the furnishings of the room.
Wait, I've seen this before. This is...
I acknowledge it. You may sit. You are the game master.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
You can create whatever sort of tale you'd like to satisfy your grudge. I'm not interested. However, I have one condition as well. Answer all the questions I ask. Absolutely no keeping secrets, hiding, or dodging the issues.
Leave it to me. Tearing up guts and dragging them out is my specialty. After all, you trained me.
Let us make some black tea. We'll use our own hands, not magic. Let the master treat our Miko to some tea.
Oh, this is an Oscar. Go.
The old Beato told me that witches are the best ones to have black tea with.
It seems that rule doesn't apply to us.
Oh, good. Whew. Oh, shit. At some point, the dish piled with biscuits had once again been covered with a mountain of torn-apart meat and spatter of red. No, not just meat, but blood.
Black tea is best enjoyed with your fellow monsters.
Whew!
Oh my god!
You nailed it!
Woo!
That one you actually did that one pretty good.
It's always me and Kana get a shit perfect, bro.
I could hear you. I could hear you guys sounding out the words together, just desperately trying.
You're physically quite close to each other, are you not? Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more after text. Oh, is it the Texas connection? Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Oh yeah, you guys are in the same state.
You want to let them hear the music?
Yeah.
Wait, you don't want to give him Zaki?
Contain yourselves. I know how much you want to sing to this.
In that case, let's get the pieces ready. If we keep up the count, this will be game 7, right?
Indeed, a fortuitous number.
But not for Beato, right?
Berncastle slowly picked up a black piece. It was the piece that represented Beatrice. There's sometimes a king, sometimes a queen, and could become a knight. However, that was only if it got promoted. Until then, it was just a trash piece like a pawn. First comes the placing of the pieces. By this point, the witch's game has already begun. Berncastle took Pieto's piece and raised it up high.
First move, placement. Beatrice on D8.
That auto scroll, bro.
Jesus Christ.
Let's go, Con. Good clean reading.
Woo!
I don't remember there being auto scrolls in the original, like in the Steam version of this game. God damn.
Also, shout out to Fishy Aroma for like using the sound effects in the beat, bro.
Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love this.
Stunning.
I love that version of Fishy Aroma so fucking much. It's so goddamn good.
Mhm.
Alrighty then.
Right.
So it's 10:49 EST. I need to get a drink really quickly, but once that's done, we will begin the post discussion. First, let me just make sure I get this shit off the screen so I don't accidentally put some fat fucking spoilers on your screen by complete accident.
Well, while you guys figure out the time ESC, I'm gonna go ESP. Be right back.
Bro.
He's gonna
Yes.
insert.
Get
He's
your,
gonna
get your
extrasensory
theories together.
Yeah, extrasensory
Yes.
perception.
I would request, since Orange does play music during these, please keep it Umineko themed since it's going to be the last one.
Don't worry, I will keep
And
it
particularly
very
lyricless.
Umineko themed.
Lyricless as well.
I don't worry, I was just gonna play lyricless versions
Thanks for all the
of,
people. Thanks for all the people.
I was gonna play Birth of a New Witch instrumental, but alright.
Oh.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh wait, hold on.
Instrumental's fine.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
So should we wait for Bone or?
Yeah.
We're, yeah,
Well,
we're
I
waiting for
gotta go get
everybody.
a drink.
Okay,
We are.
I might as
waiting.
well use your restroom too.
Dude,
Might
I
as well
love
be
that.
a beer as well.
Dude, I love that panel so much.
I won't lie.
Oh, the
The most
yeah,
ones made me hungry.
yeah.
It's so good.
It's such a good panel.
They're so evil. They look so evil. Look at
I
them.
got to channel my MILF energy.
I'm back, and I come back to I got to channel my MILF energy. Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Bone, look at how evil they look in that panel. It's so good.
A panel? What? Huh?
The one I posted.
Give me a Let me find where we are on the Discord. Oh yeah, she's got the fangies.
It's so good.
She's got the wavy eyes. I kind of want her to nibble on my neck.
OMG, Burn Castle is literally me.
I think they look like they do a bit more than nibble.
I want her to chomp a giant lump out of my neck. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
With her horrible shark teeth.
Did not need the image right now.
She probably would.
Who yawned?
Me.
You
I
can
did
tell.
not get much. I did not get much sleep.
Hey, this. No, I
You
did it.
probably only got 3 hours, didn't you?
Yeah, but usually I sleep a bit during the day. Did not today though.
Oh, I swear to God, Rindy.
I'm sorry.
The entire timeline.
I'm sorry.
What's
I am
going
so-
on?
What happened?
I really like Testament.
Oh.
Rindy's Twitter right now is Testament. She made us look at it during D&D.
She just desperately wants to get her mouth on those abs.
No.
I mean, I would mind.
It's the guilty gear.
No being horny.
Thank you.
During the stream.
I will say my fucking reply to her tweet. If I
Zez.
oh my God, Rindy!
Zez, how can you say that when you posted something so horny yourself?
OMG.
I replied to her tweet saying it's never going to end, and then followed up by my entire timeline is testament.
I'm sorry. I did apologize.
It's fine.
Am I
The art
following
is great,
Rindy?
though.
I'm walking up the stairs. I'm rounding the corner to my room. I hear Joshua scream, "Rindy!" as loud as
Rindy.
humanly possible.
Rindy, is your Twitter
Joshie.
safe? I'm gonna avoid your Twitter.
Wait, what's going on now?
Rindy's just posting Testament stuff right now, but I mean, like...
Something guilty gear.
Look at this. The orange.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. I need
Literally.
yeah, sorry. Just fuck.
But anyways, I'm back. I am mentally equipped.
B and AC are still gone.
Shut up.
It's true, they are.
Wait, what now?
Oh, now just AC's gone.
Oh, alright, we can wait for AC to get here, I guess.
Also, after this episode, I definitely have added more things to the list to think about. More theories, more big ones.
Oh yeah.
Well, go ahead and add them in.
I have. Onto my document. I have a document here that is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 theories. Some of them are lighter than the others. And I'm married to none of them.
Same.
I am married to none of them.
Same here.
But the most important question: can we lift the island of Rokenjima?
I'm gonna strangle you.
Somewhere else.
Give me time.
What?
Oh my god.
I
Don't worry
think
about it.
If you
Please
use the right
stop.
spell, you could just jump all the way from Rokenjima to the main.
Free me.
Konnichiwa, yeah.
That's a Morrowind thing.
No, alright, here, I'll elaborate for the folks at home.
What are you talking about?
During D&D, today, my group, that you guys were driving, everybody was driving along basically a gigantic, 1,200 foot wide ravine, and Rindy was just, for 20 to 30 minutes, just desperately trying to math out how you could jump across that ravine at, level 5. And, not even everybody, just B could do it. And she couldn't even do it because she's not a bunny folk, she's a Viera. Very different.
Wait, it's like she is actually doing math, getting out the algorithms?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
D, you're supposed to do math.
Yeah, but not that. No, but not stupid math, only smart math.
I think she was getting out the smart person math.
Wild.
Did she get out the protractors?
No.
It was just multiplication.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with multiplication. That's trigonometry.
No, but the distance is a straight line.
Trigonography.
In D&D jump distance is a straight line.
Stop this topic, Avery.
It isn't.
It's 100.
Art.
AC, are you
Also,
back?
Different.
Also, it wouldn't be trigonometry either because it's
I've been back. I've been saying
Alright.
Order in the
Okay.
court. Order in the court.
We can
There you
I
are.
can complain about D&D later.
Silent
Anyways.
children of men, I want answers now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes.
Before we check over the answers in Umineko, we're going to be checking over your answers. So,
Alright,
let's
so
see. What was the order again?
I think it was
I believe
Sim
Simbard.
first.
Sim, Joshi, aka Shelly Theory, Bone, Crimson, and then Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Alrighty then. Let me just do one thing really quickly. Alright.
And I imagine we will have room to revise our theories after hearing other people.
Hey.
No.
I mean, you can keep
That's
your
true.
theory.
Your theory is not set in stone until you say it.
Because we have an hour.
Well, okay, yeah, but again, we will not pause for you to read.
Yeah, you're free to discuss afterwards.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But this, on the record, what you are saying is your theory. This is what you have turned into the class presentation.
Here's my loose series.
Yeah.
Sim, are you ready?
Yeah, I thought Orange was doing a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just trying to put the word theory over break time instead. Just start.
Theory
I'll be
time.
done in a second.
Okay.
Sim,
I get to go first because I don't have an actual theory. I have a thing that I figured out that puts me 2 steps away from having a theory if I had the time. I think that Shannon and Cannon are the same person. Because, okay, hold on, let me pull up my notes to explain my logic. So the red truth about how many people are there on the island is that there's no more than 18, which means there's possible that there's less. When the red truth at the end of episode 6 says that if Erica joins, there's still only 17 people, which means there is less than 18 people on the island. And Shannon, or like Tannen, got like absorbed into Shannon to make them one person, but in like a non-magical sense, that would mean that they have to have always been the same person, like in the real game world without magic. But okay. And I didn't get a chance to go through every scene, but there are a lot of scenes. I don't think they're both ever in a scene with Battler. And the big one is at the beginning of episode 2, the first Twilight. Shannon just fucking disappears from the chapel when the cousins burst in. Like, in the manga, she's there, the cousins burst in, and she's just gone. She doesn't say anything, she doesn't even appear in the background of any of the panels. Which is weird because Cannon goes to comfort Jessica, and Shannon doesn't go to comfort George, which you think she would. That's it, that's all I've got.
Alright.
Alrighty then. So then
Everybody
we're gonna be
clap.
moving-
We clap after presentation.
Yes. Everybody clap.
I'm pushed to talk, so death smash.
Oh god.
Honestly, you can do jazz claps too if your fucking thing is strong enough to hear snaps.
Or you can do what I do.
My
You
notebook.
press the button and you clap me off. Continue.
I'm gonna play a fart noise now.
Yeah, I use my tongue to press the button and then I can clap.
Alrighty then. So we'll be
Okay,
moving
settle
on
down,
to
class.
Joshy's presentation of Shelly's theory.
So, unfortunately, Chelly did not get back to me, telling me what, complete... I had to basically guess this because there is a lot of, like, I believe character name errors. So I don't know if this is 100%. Also, in addition, if you guys have any questions, I can't answer them. Additionally, maybe in post I'll edit in some clarifications to what Shelly's theory was if I did get some stuff wrong. But the basic gist is that he believes on the days of October 4 through 5, 1986, that Battler was the one to solve the epitaph and essentially find the gold. On the first day, Kyrie and Rudolph, and he surmises that Kyrie and Rudolph are the main culprits that are responsible for the entirety of the murders. So they, for some reason, Kyrie and Rudolph think they're going to get cut out of any of the gold that Battler found, and then basically hatch up a scheme to kill a bunch of people. They talked to Ava and Rosa, I believe, is what he said, to join along with the scheme, and they would kill basically everyone, right? To take the gold for themselves. Ava and Rosa join to protect Maria and George. They're both children. Sorry, I should reword that. They go to talk to Ava and Rosa about joining along with the scheme about killing everyone. They agree to protect their children. So obviously Rosa protecting Maria and Ava protecting George. The first, what would be considered the first Twilight, is they kill 6 people on the island, including Battler as well. They're not. Chelly does not specify who gets killed. They just say that Battler is one of the among to die on the first Twilight. The rest of everyone else gather together and try to figure out what's happening, not knowing that Rudolph, Kyrie, Rosa, and Ava are along with them, and they essentially start picking them off. What is it? Ava tries to betray Kyrie and Rudolph, but gets killed along with George after the rest are killed off. And then Rosa, after feeling really bad about killing her entire family, proceeds to kill Maria and then herself in grief. Then Kyrie, in a moment where she starts to think that she is literally Beatrice, a witch, kills Rudolph. and then states that Beatrice was just Kinzo's dead mistress, and the news of Beatrice dying with Rosa on the cliffs when she was a child sent Kinzo over the edge and tried to basically revive her. Now, that's all I could really get from his theory. There's nothing else that I know about his theory because he never added on to it. So this theory is all I could present at the current juncture for Chelly.
Okay. Clap, class.
Alrighty.
Crimson, we're gonna be fucking respectful in my goddamn classroom. We clap.
Again, I will state this again. In post, I might add in some other stuff if he corrects me on it. But again, I tried to get in contact with him. He didn't come back to me. He pinged me this morning when I was asleep, funny enough. But like, I tried my best to determine it, and I sent it to him, and he just hasn't gotten back to me yet. So, yeah.
Alright then. I guess I'll go?
Yep, go ahead, Bone.
Alright, quick question. Would I be allowed to go through my notes by when we are done discussing our theories? Because there was actually some stuff that I kind of... Like, a lot of, like, questions that are still kind of unanswered that I think would be good to go through.
Depends on how much time we have.
Yeah, that too.
Alright, because Simbard also... Alright, there was just one thing I wanted to point out that Simbard said that I thought was interesting, if I may. It's that basically, if the furniture aren't considered a full human, I wonder if that contributes to the full player count, the full people count on the island. So that's an interesting thought. Alright, here are my theories. This is theory 1. I'm wondering, and I'm not married to any of these, I'm wondering if the only actual case that mattered was the first questions arc, and all the stories after was the real world people posing their own stories, like on the internet and stuff. That was one of them. Part of me wants to think that all of the things that are not in red are reliable. Only the red is reliable. That is something I wrote down in this document. I guess that would count as 2, even though it's not much of a theory. What if in one of the fragments there was a method of escape that we will go back to? I'm not too married to that one. I wonder if all these reds apply to every story, but then again, I immediately thought, wait, that they contradict each other, so that doesn't work. Then there's this one, the family feud aspect of the story with the Sumideras and stuff, and like the Okanogi third parties make me wonder if the events of Rokindra even happened, if it was somehow a ploy to get the money or something, and Ava just kind of got either brainwashed or went through like a series of things set up by these third parties. Because they mentioned the world peace thing, so that makes me think there's a bigger deal here. Part of me wants to also wonder if maybe the Sumideras, or whatever the other third parties are, set up the events of the island. Alright, so that's another thing. Like, the bad shit happened because of these third parties. Another thing I thought was interesting was that it seems like Kumasawa and Genji had a supernatural or possibly fictional character associated with them, such as Virgilia and Ronabe, and I'm wondering if Shannon and Cannon have one, or not. Let's see, I had one more thing. Maybe each story was Featherin's investigation, but her real-life version... Wait, shit, I wrote this badly, shit. I wrote this on the cuff. Alright, here's the idea. There is no magic. Most of the stories we see are Featherin, like the real-life equivalent of Lambda, Delta, and Burn, as well as the real-life equivalent... Man, I'm saying this bad. The real-life equivalent of Featherin. What was her name again? The real-life person?
Hachijo.
Hachijo. So Hachijo, then real-life Burn and Lambda are just normal people, that are making up stories about the Rokkenjima incident, trying to figure out what happened, but while also making a nice story, while Angie is actually trying to really investigate. And so she goes to them. And maybe Feather and Hachijo, Real Life, Lambda, and Burn just kind of threw Angie into their own story. And that's why she appeared on Rokkenjima in the metaverse. And each of the Reds is actually supposed to provide you with the hints to the answer of each of their individual stories, but they might contain a shred of evidence to show what actually happened on Rokkenjima. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Should I revise that? It felt like I was rambling.
I got lost a little bit in that.
Okay, Lambda, Burn, and Featherin are real people. They're making up shit involving actual evidence to make a cool story, while Angie is actually investigating.
Okay.
And this kind of also ties into the idea that third parties might have actually played a part on Rokkenjima to get the money and all that. And that's my thought.
Huh.
Alright, go next. Man, only... Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. Clap class. Sorry, I was muted. Clap class.
See, AC with the first one. I know he cares.
Hey,
You
I'm clapping my arm.
I was muted and I was.
Nah, I'm
typing.
joking. I'm joking.
All right, very.
I
good.
know. I had a very good theory. It's the best. No one else compares.
You're doing amazing, sweeting. Moving on, next week. Crimson, no laughing. Crimson, present your theory. Go.
Crimson made me cry. Not really.
Can't believe Crimson shoved him in a locker. Anyway, continue.
Just give me a moment because of that. I'll build upon Simbard's theory because that was actually part of my fear on this. But I'm going to add something to that. Anytime you see Beatrice physically as a piece in that game, it's also that other person. There were 3 separate identities linked to one person. And we actually can figure out who that person's name is if you look at Shannon and Cannon's real name. They never said their last name, but said their first name. If you combine both of their names together, that's actually who they are. And I'm going to add another thing to this. They're the actual perpetrator of all the incidents, unless said otherwise, and they're the ones who are actually bribing every staff member to lie about whatever they're saying. So any of the mysteries, including all the closed room mysteries, can be easily solved by a simple one fact. Anytime you see Shannon or Cannon dying, they're not dead. They're always planning in the background, cocking up the other murders. And anytime that the staff was saying something, they're obviously lying and actually helping out the perpetrator, that is, the person pretending to be Shannon Cannon in the physical form of Beatrice. And anytime that any of the parents, quote unquote, are also into it because they are also being blackmailed or bribed, because the person who's doing all of this probably already found Kenzo's gold. Kenzo died and left that person the heir to the fortune. And because of their upbringing, probably caused by that person's near death as a baby, because that person, who's probably a female but must have been misunderstood as a male at the time, was basically, unquote, wanted to take revenge against the family, but fell in love with all 3 of the main cousins except for Maria. Also, Maria was already mentally damaged from the get-go from the boost from Rosa, and kind of manipulated her mentally to think that she was already Beatrice, so anytime that she's mentioned Beatrice, it was actually her. So all the crimes can be easily solved, no matter what, by saying the following words. Shannon and Cannon, when they died, never really died. Anytime you see a staff member, including Genji, especially Genji, is basically lying through their asses and basically making up all the mysteries as they're going. That's the main part of that theory that I have for it.
That it? Or is there anything else?
I do have some other theories, but that one's the only one that I have most confidence in.
Alright. So if I was just double checking if you wanted to say any more, if your turn was up.
Nothing right now.
There is no
Alright.
after this.
Alright, I'm gonna give you a water bottle crunch in place of a clap.
don't.
That was terrible. Don't do that ever
I
again.
had it so far away from the mic.
It's too loud.
Is it really loud?
I was clapping my cubital I've been doing that.
I held it as
Mufasa.
far away from the mic as I possibly could.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So Khan, it's your turn to theory.
Alright then. Sorry, I need a drink of water. One sec.
Understandable.
No problem.
And one more moment, my dog is trying to be clingy.
Riri, no! Back, Riri!
And doggo is now in my lap. One of the main things I started to look at, mostly whenever I was trying to solve the entirety of the mystery, was, I guess, taking a step back and just looking at every individual mystery before trying to come up with anything cohesive. Take a good look at the bigger picture before I decided to go ahead and take a look at anything else. Or at least the reverse of that. I think I just actually went ahead and contradicted myself. Either way. I decided to start with the riddle about the 18 people on the island. We've been given so much crossing against everything and just second-guessed about everything else. So I decided to go back and look at everything I wrote prior. And made new notes and everything. One of the things I tried to find was how many people actually were on the island. Because of the red truth we got back at the very, very tail end of episode 6 before the tea parties and everything, then being with Erica there were only 17 people, I did some investigating in the scenes. And back with the math, if my dog will get out of the way. 1 second. Alright, much better. I counted out the cousins. The kids, which were Rudolph's kids, which were mostly Kinzo's kids. The servants, which should have been Ken and Shannon go to Kumasawa, and Hetzer and Genji, counted 13, then the spouses, then Nanjo, that made 17 people by itself. However, I remembered that Kinzo was supposed to be dead at the start of every game now. That was even said in red. So Kinzo's body counted as a separate person. If Erica was there, or at least if she wasn't there, that means there'd been 16 people. Which means either somebody was playing doppelganger or was trying to live a double. Then I remembered Nox's 10th. We've been introduced to the idea of doubles, and doubles then aren't only included until we've been prepared for them. So I did find out at that point that there was a double, but it wasn't until much later that I realized Cannon and Shannon never shared a same scene whenever Battler had his perspective. It was always shifted. Never once in any scene prior were Cannon and Shannon in the same room as Battler. Which I honestly thought was weird. But then I remembered something else. And I'm gonna quote my answer off of my quiz here, which I actually do have up on my PC. What the?
You had all the time to prepare for this, Con.
Hold on, it wasn't coming up.
No, or we got time.
Whoopsie! I tried to click on the documents whenever I had the spacebar pressed down. Not a good idea. I remembered the mirror from all the way back in episode 2.
Huh?
Go on. You were saying about the mirror?
Sorry, it's hard to do this with push to talk.
You can disable push to talk now.
Thanks. It's becoming a problem.
Oh, I have to disable push to talk. Sorry.
Sorry, just this once.
Alright, yeah, no problem. Don't worry. I just gotta remember where I had that set for you. Hold on a second. Where the... Oh my god.
Wait, Roboot, should you be in here for this?
Actually, wait, Robot, did you finish?
I mean, he would have had to finish, like, these now, wouldn't he have?
Oh, no, like, yeah, that's right. Actually, you literally can't watch the... You don't have the extra shit. Alright, hold on a second.
He could watch the... There's a weird thing where Twitch kind of creates a VOD on the fly of what you record. Did you watch the last bits of today's stream? Or sorry, well, shit.
Yeah.
Then you may not understand what we say.
I mean, yeah, Robert, you did the previous one, but we just finished the current session. We're going into full-on theories.
Here, Con, keep going. I just need to figure out how the hell I adjust your permissions. There we go. Alright,
To be fair, most of the Tea Party stuff didn't actually factor into these theories that they wrote down beforehand, so it wouldn't necessarily matter.
Alright, Con, you should be able to do non-push to talk stuff now.
Alright, sorry about that. Okay, am I clear?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm clear. So I realized something interesting about the mirror. Shannon had to break the mirror to go ahead and free Beatrice and help him give her power and everything. However, from the way I saw it though, her mythos was getting mixed up with the lore of the island's prior history, involving a lot of other things, and it was killing her own magic. And of course she had to obey those rules of magic because of the perspective of it. But that's a different thing. Mirrors are also used to represent reflection and the true self. If Shannon needed to destroy the mirror mostly because someone else told her to do it, someone who's a supposed metaphysical figure, then she needed to see something else in that specific mirror that she didn't like. Something that put her in a frenzy. Something that didn't fit quite her perception of reality. So when Shannon smashed the mirror, it, quote, freed Beatrice. It was blocking her magic, but it was also just holding something back for her. That's when I realized. Shannon and Cannon are never in the same place. They're supposedly two halves souls that can't really become whole. Two halves to become a whole. That's what it takes. One of them had to die so that way the other could become dominant. Basically meaning, and the butterfly halves on their hands after the contract with Beatrice made it really clear for me. Just as Crimson pointed out, Shannon and Cannon are both two people, but they're also one person, and together they form Beatrice. And the way that works is, mostly they're all sharing the same body. They're all cognizant of everything that they do, at least from each other. And they're all fighting over control of the same vessel. That, or at least to put it in an easier way, someone has some serious issues they're trying to work out using magic, and apparently they developed separate personalities, and now they're all just fighting for dominance of the body and the brain. Of course, that was just one thing I figured out. And once I figured that out, oh, damn notebook in my hands, a lot of the other mysteries kind of fell into place. And that would mean that during certain crimes and certain days, that most of them were probably faked. Sometimes we never got Red Truth confirmation of who was dead and who was still alive. Or at least if the certain body was someone else's. This is why episode 1 on retrospect was bugging me so much. Mostly because we never got confirmation that Cannon was actually dead beforehand, or that he wounded himself or anything like that. If you go ahead and put Shannon and Cannon as one person, that fits the entire limit. At least, the count of the island. But there were other things that didn't quite make sense to me. Like, if I can even read my own damn notes right here. Yeah, even Simbard's putting right down here, many of the bodies in episode 1 were unidentifiable. That was just to go ahead and throw us right off the fucking track. Fair. Much as I fucking hate Erica, she did help to realize something. At least help me to realize something. It takes a different perspective and a different narrative perspective to actually reveal a set mystery. You may not like the way it goes, but sometimes it's necessary. Erica was taking on the role of the detective, which in theory should have helped to go ahead and solve the mystery, that all it did was make things way more complicated than they needed to be. That made me realize a couple different things. One, this wasn't intended to be some kind of big murder plot. And I say that because a lot of the victims that we've seen lately were faking their death. Let's see here. Sorry, I also have my notebook right in front of me with all my notes and things. I've been handwriting notes the entire time too. Waka waka! My stream of consciousness.
You've had all the time to prepare.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine. We have plenty of time.
Is it? Okay. I got it. Erica's perspective did help for something. She helped me realize that there are legitimate crimes and legitimate issues with each of the characters. But at the same time, this isn't some general whodunit. This is a complex meta-narrative. Meaning, there's more than one culprit. So... Oh, I just closed my book on impulse. Fuck me. And sorry once again, I'm just literally going through the mysteries that I've solved. At least the ones that I've given. I think it might actually be best to go ahead and just move on with my stream of consciousness and my journal here, so that way we can actually get through this.
Don't worry, we got plenty of time.
So Erica's the detective.
And the reason we never got any answers under her that were even semi-reliable was because this was a mystery meant for Battler. Beato said that this was something she created for Battler. She'd fulfill any role that he needed her to be. There go. The original idea for this entire mystery was something that was made up just so Battler could actually come home to Rokkenjima, be a part of something that he's aware of. We've also seen that the Peace Battler could keep up with Erica a lot during a lot. I'm saying a lot. Fuck. Bubble. Bleh. Peace Battler could keep up with Erica even in the tightest of situations involving the epitaph solving. Meaning, he's actually aware of the mystery genre, and it's been stated before, he is a fan of the mystery novel genre itself. So what would make a person like that more happy than to be greeted with a long-lost family over a giant mystery that he'd have to solve on his own? So then I got to thinking, If the part about the gigantic mystery was meant to be there, then what went wrong? What was meant to happen? And why did it all go south? So, I started looking at everything like, and this is in my first note, I started to view everything less like a picture and more like building a house. Supports for motives, details, everything. Started looking back at the motives for every character. Money is a very big motive for a lot of these people, but most of them don't really have the capacity to kill for it. We combine the information we know about Shannon, Cannon, and possibly Beatrice being the same person. It led me to an interesting conclusion. Mostly. And with the last few chapters, it led me into some very interesting ideas.
What sort of interesting ideas are they?
Please elaborate.
Oh, yes, I will. One of them being, and this was something I should have noticed at the very beginning, if the survivors of the island were supposedly survivors, then why did no one find their bodies other than Marie's jawbone? You would have been able to find cloth, but... And speaking as someone who actually knows about true crime almost as much as anything, because I have a weird fascination with it, I'm not going to elaborate on that anyway. Actually, I did elaborate this already. It's in my answers. Nail and hair decompose in 2 years, and bones remain even if the flesh was decayed, but they crumble after so much exposure. And if it's a moist environment, flesh turns into about a bloodied, bloated mess. Within about 3, maybe 4 weeks, it depends on the environment. Then I remembered the cliff. I remembered a bunch of things. Mostly about Natsuhi and the baby, Maid, Rosa, and Beatrice. I also remembered the bottles and the messages. And the storm and everything. I started putting a couple different things together. Especially with Ava, with Rosa, their mental states, Krause's death. And I think I came up with some kind of relatable answer of what's really happening. If you toss away all of the magic, and I hate to say that because I love me some good fantasy, if you toss that away, you're left with something pretty interesting. And kind of clever. Mainly in that the story of the first night, the first episode case we ever get, that's probably the closest to reality that we actually have of what actually happened with Kenjima. It's not quite it, but it's there. The way the evening was supposed to go was that there was a gigantic mystery party, or at least a giant murder mystery, that everybody was in on. Or at least they were in on the mystery idea. They weren't in on anything else, specifically. They were going to go ahead and greet Battler with this gigantic murder mystery. And of course, since Kinzo, in quotes, agreed upon it, they decided to have the servants be in on it. Of course, once it got to the killings, that may actually have worster one. But sorry if I keep pausing, this is just me being nervous as fuck. Oh boy. Okay.
Con, there's nothing to be nervous about. There are literally no wrong answers right now.
Oh, fair enough.
I know, but even talking like this a lot and just the frequent pausing, it just makes the blood, and oh, there goes the ice blood.
Here, God,
You're
God,
fine.
God, I'm gonna try to help you out with something. Give me a second, but keep on going.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I'm kind of bumblefucking my way through here.
Alright, Con, here. The burning toilet never fails.
It has returned.
It's a toilet that's on fire.
Classic fire toilet.
Okay, thank you. I needed that. Okay.
It's been a while since we've had a Yukiko moment.
Okay. No, Joshi, that actually helped. That actually helped. Of course, if there was a gigantic mystery being set up for Battler, that made me think, who would go ahead and suggest something like this? Someone who's probably known Battler, someone who is with Battler, someone who actually he'd made the promise to at the very tail end of episode 6. Possibly the same person who's been helping to keep these murders alive. The same person who's been calling themselves Beatrice. That would be the person behind Shannon and Cannon, which I also agree with Crimson on and everyone else here. It's their real name is probably a combination of Shannon and Cannon's real names. Which would be Seiyo and Yoshida? Is it Yoshida? Is it Yoshida?
I think so.
It's Yoshiya.
Yoshiya, thank you, Yoshiya. Yeah, probably a combination of some syllables in the names makes up their real one.
Or is the actual real name?
And that's what I'm saying. Even I don't know. They probably suggested this idea so that way they could welcome back Battler with a big bash or some other kind of just open arm gesture. But then that didn't make sense in itself. Because Battler, after 6 years, had lost his memories. So he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't even remember who he made this promise to. But the person knows. This person, I'm just gonna go ahead and call them Seiyo, just for the hell of it. Because calling them Shaka-Khan, calling them Janitress would be really weird as fuck, and that sounds kind of weird.
Also, it wouldn't be their name since it'd be Japanese.
Yeah. They probably also want to go ahead and air out some grievances during this as well. Part of that may have just been their idea. But, of course, most adults don't like going on with kids' ideas and what they say. So maybe this character, Seiyo, decided to go ahead and say that it was Kinzo's idea, and worked with a bunch of other people, especially the servants, Natsuhi and Kraus, hands to get the mystery going. But maybe they told somebody else. Someone else who also happened to overhear it. And maybe this other person decided to twist the internal mystery a bit and make it so that way they could get something else out of it. Something that was eluding them, something they needed, something their partner needed. Something they had resources and willing amounts of crazy just to get. Someone who would do anything just to keep them. I was right in suspecting Kyrie in the first place. She struck me out as weird. Mostly because she just had this kind of personality, and she knew what was going on. Even back in the beginning, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Then in chapter 4, we got to everything involving the Sumaderas, and it all clicked. Kyrie somehow manipulated, or worked with, the sorrow mental state of this young Seiyo, and decided to use it as an opportunity to off most of the Yoshiramiya family. She used it to go ahead and get to Battler and just to air out grievances. Then, if we take into account everything else from the other chapters, Ava was probably the only one who would have actually survived. Or at least, Ava possibly played a role in this, because of her mental state.
Or only survived episode 3.
Or that could possibly. Of course, non-magically explaining, the Goatmen are Sumadera henchmen. The only reason they're portrayed as goats is because everything is still shrouded with magic. Erica said it herself. So long as you obscure your perspective, you can make it have the illusion of magic. Take away the illusion, and you have a bunch of men in creepy masks trying to kill you with guns and other weapons. They know how to get rid of you. Take away the illusion, and you can see Cannon on the hill next to Maria and Rosa, tossing the broken lollipop in the air, only to give Maria the actual fixed lollipop she had given him earlier. And to be honest, when I realized all of that, it kind of hurt. I wanted to believe that there was some trace of magic here. Something cool, something that made it feel like it actually was magic.
Hey, so Khan, I'm going to give you about 5 more minutes to finish your theory.
Really? Because I'm enjoying this.
I know, but this has been going on for 24 minutes.
Oh no! I'm sorry!
No, it's fine. I know we have time and all that, but like...
That's why we're giving you a
That's
warning.
why we're giving you a warning. Because it's getting there.
Oh, alright. I think. Wait, Con, out of curiosity, how much longer do you think you would go?
I can condense it.
Alright.
Yeah. So, just go ahead and revise. Once I figured out all of that stuff and I realized it was actually just some kind of thing that was also hijacked by... Damn it, phone! Another killer that made everything else come along really, really easily for me.
What sort of things came very easily to you?
Mostly the events of the evening. Kinzo's body not actually counting as a person and everything else made me realize just that. It was just meant to be a gigantic mystery theater fuckfest that turned into an actual murder fest. Then I started to go ahead and realize Kinzo's past, and put everything else on the island in perspective. Kinzo was supposed to go ahead and restart the Yoshirimiya family after an earthquake in Odawara actually wiped out his back in 1926, was it? Damn.
Back in the olden days.
I believe it's before the war.
Yeah,
before the war.
During that time, he was probably told to go ahead and get into a loveless marriage with someone else he had no idea who he was. At the same time, he met a young lady, probably someone who could just be considered the original Beatrice. And not wanting to lose her, he decided with his vast wealth and everything by the 1950s, because he skipped out on the Korean War and had all that jazz, decided to go ahead and make a giant island where he could keep both his wife and his mistress and her family away from the prying eye. Because if he had them both in public, the family would be ruined because of the scandal. Damn pages. I've actually got it right here. Yeah, he had the family move to the island in the 1952 after the island was finished. However, he said that something happened in 1956 to Beatrice and he just snapped after that. I think this is Beatrice dying and leaving behind a daughter. Specifically, the current Beatrice that we know. Or at least the one that Rosa met, which she ended up falling over on the cliff thanks to Rosa and her accident. Yeah, those cliffs are dangerous. Around this same time, Kinzo gives Natsuhi the baby from the orphanage, who he says to raise in place of her own child. And Natsuhi subsequently sends that baby tumbling over a cliff. This, and everything else, connecting. That baby had significance to Kinzo. And this, Noir, is why I decided and realized is just disgusting. because it means I was right about something, and I didn't want to be right about it. Kinzo, in his weird state, probably thought that his adult daughter looked like his mistress and did the goinky spoinky. Incest baby. That's where it happened. And he was trying to go ahead and cover it up as a baby from the orphanage because, of course, he's Kinzo, he's prideful. He's not gonna go admit that he actually did that. Hell, he probably thought that the actual Beatrice daughter was the real one. And so then, the baby goes over the cliff, but maybe it survived somehow? And maybe the servant, or at least this other mysterious person, Seo, is somehow that baby? But I decided to go ahead and scrap that idea, but I'm still kind of liking it, because that would make the story all the more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a mental brain cramp from that and decided to take a look at the epitaph. Mostly because... I'll go ahead and be concise on this. I think I have less than 3 minutes left. Yeah, I was getting my head in a knot from... Ugh, fuck. Everything else. So I took a second look at the epitaph. Sweetfish River, even in English, makes no sense. So I started to go ahead and look around Google Maps and everything involving at least Odawara. There was a river going through it, but it wasn't the river I thought it was. Then I started to just go around randomly and just dissect the kanji from my Google Translates of the original epitaph that I transcribed. And yes, I did not Google anything involving it, if anybody was wondering. It's all safe. I'm not crazy. So I went and decided, took the kanji, at least decided to take the first kanji of each one of them, and one of the answers I got was the Gyeongsang River, which was all the way in Taiwan. Which I figured wasn't the right answer. But I was tired and curious as hell, so I started looking up stuff about Taiwan. Mostly because, 1, I wanted a break from Umineko, and 2, I was just actually that tired at night. Never research at night, it brings up the worst in. Then, I started looking around other parts of it, and found some interesting stuff. Apparently Taiwan was under Japanese occupation.
Does that play a part?
What was the original name of Taiwan underneath Japanese rule?
That wasn't really the name that interested me as much as it was just the train systems that ended up being taken in there because of Japanese occupation of Taiwan.
Is that connected to this?
Actually, yeah. I decided to go through and just keep researching that. Mostly involving Taipei City. Mostly because it's actually there. And because it was also home to the National Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, which is gorgeous. Then, whenever I was researching around the Tamsui district of Taipei, right around where the Xiangsong River could be, they had a river, which in Japanese was the Tamsui, which, if you read it in Japanese, is Danshui, freshwater. I started looking around the town like crazy just to see what the hell was going on. Cause why would Kinzo's thing actually mention Danshui? Which again, could just be me overthinking it. And then there was blah blah blah, me overthinking it. Then I realized something. What if it wasn't referring to an actual river, but something that looked like it? So I just kept thinking and turning my head and trying to play video games to get rid of this fucking thought. And I realized, on maps, railroads kinda look like rivers. Then it hit me. Kinzo was talking about a railway, or at least like a train or something, that looked kind of like a river. Something that resembled the Danshui. That was as far as I got before I realized Kinzo must have been talking about one that was already decommissioned or something. No maps exist right now that I could find that actually involved it. And Google Maps was less than helpful. Then there was one last thing I figured out. Quadrillion? Quadrillion. There was a door, or at least an epitaph above a door in a photo in Kumasawa's family home that said, "Those who open this door will be blessed with the odds of quadrillion to 1." I figured that was probably something written on the front door of Kuadorian. Or at least the place where probably you'd find all of the golden treasure, hidden away because of the witch's epitaph. Everything. Those are, however, just my theories. But I guess the entire crux of it could just be said, Kyrie killed the family just for money, had a secret deal with the Kumaderas to get it over and done with, Ava survived when she shouldn't have, Kumaderas couldn't kill her because that would have caused world issues. What?
It's Sumadera.
Sumadera family.
It's Sumaderas.
Yeah, wait, have I been saying Sumadere?
You've been saying Kumadera.
Whoops!
That's Monokuma's family of evil assassins.
Yeah, let's just keep it rolling.
Oh god, thank you for the correction. Oh god, my head.
Was there anything else?
Just headache. So basically, the Sumaderas. Sumadera?
Yes, like marinara, but Suma.
Sumadera, thank you. They couldn't kill Ava because it would have caused some gigantic world incidents because a lot of people pay a lot of attention to really, really rich people for no particular reason aside from wanting to be involved in their lives and poke and prod at everything they do, so they waited until Angie was of age to inherit everything and waited for Ava to get the bucket so they could go ahead and kill her just to get the money and everything. I also figured Okanogi would have been on the deal the entire time because, Jesus Christ, he's Okanogi. No offense, AC. No offense, Bart.
What? Me?
Oh, no, wait, no. Who was voicing Okanogi?
I said Okanogi.
I can't believe she forgot who plays Okanogi.
It's been a while, I'm sorry.
It was AC. Yeah, he said, sorry, Bart, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what me. Oh, because you thought I was him.
Yeah. Yeah, you and AC have very similar voices.
I don't hear it whenever I hear myself, but I do hear a bit of it on recording.
I don't hear the difference.
It's very slight, but I hear it.
Yeah.
AC, can you say it's very slight, but I hear it?
It's very slight, but I hear it.
Alright, let's continue. Let's continue.
But yes, Okanogi.
That's basically everything I found out. I'm not married to the ideas or anything.
Alright, so, since we still have like 10 minutes, can we get some final thoughts out?
Okay.
Read Beaglesaurus.
That's not what he meant.
Sure.
That was a thought, and it did go out.
Con,
Con,
you said something that triggered a very important memory. Do you remember when Badler was trying to read what was above the chapel door?
Yeah.
On the island? Do you remember that he couldn't read it? It said, this door is opened only at the probability of, and then Badler couldn't finish the word because he doesn't know the word, couldn't finish the sentence because he doesn't know the word. And then George goes, I guess it's this, MBTQ, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. I think the gold might be in the chapel.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you for doing 90% of the work.
Alright, cool. If any of this is right, I would like to take appreciation that I figured out the third-party thing. But, okay, so what is the deal with the Lambda, Burn Castle, and Featherin thing? What do you think that deal is?
Oh. They don't fucking matter.
It's its own separate
Okay,
context.
but I'm just wondering, like, what do you think they are?
Its own net concept. It's basically divorced from the idea, but it's only connected by them using it as a framing device of the actual story.
I mean, Hachijo exists. She's a person. She's a human.
I honestly didn't really consider their existence to be important in terms of the overall narrative.
Well,
Okay,
fuck you
so-
too, child of man.
That was a joke, Con, by the way. But so what do you think the deal with the different stories are?
I also didn't really stop and consider Featherin's existence in the point. I was
Alright.
more focused on trying to find out what the main mystery was before I went and tackled all of that.
I say they're all separate parallel universe of what happened if certain situations happened in a certain way.
So, Con, you do not have any thoughts about why there was multiple storylines.
I guess in a way I sort of viewed it as the same way you'd have the cat in the box theory. The entire island is indeed the cat in the box.
You mean Schrodinger's cat?
Yeah. We can go ahead and speculate as many times, and we can wind as many tales about this all we want, and we can add as much magic as we want, but we won't know the answers until we open the box. That's
Do
why
you
so
guys-
many scenarios of this exist.
Do you guys believe that magic exists in this world?
In the context of the story of the mystery, no, but the outside context of the meta story, sort of, but it doesn't connect to the actual mystery itself.
Doesn't matter. Do you think it exists? Magic exists or not?
In the story, no.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that as a hard no. Okay, Con and the others, do you guys think?
No, I already said I agree with Crimson. My head hurts too much right now to think.
Alright, so you do not believe magic exists.
It does, but only whenever it's necessary. It's only
Okay.
whenever your perception and your perspective is officially skewed that magic can afford to exist.
Okay, so the extraneous circumstances doesn't matter. You're saying magic does exist in this world.
No.
No, I'm talking to Con.
Only if it is allowed to be.
Don't know how to take that, but I will say there's probably... I would like to think that magic does exist, it just doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying.
Or somebody's trying to fake it.
No, Crimson, that's not the point. I'm not giving a reason. I'm giving a state of fact of reality.
Okay.
Simbar, do you think magic exists? Do you believe?
I don't believe it exists on the game board, because the whole point is to find a way to explain what's happening without the use of magic.
I'm talking about irregardless of the story.
Oh, I don't know. Like, you mean all the meta stuff?
I'm talking about if a person is in France is going through their own life, does magic still exist? I'm talking about completely disregarding the story. In this world, does magic exist? Is Maria right? Does magic exist? Regardless if it's happening to her.
I'm gonna say no.
Alright, so that's 3 no's. I think Kaneka gave a no. I would give a it exists.
You're using it in a very concrete turn of example.
Yes.
Also, in the real world, in this particular world, and that's kind of like weirdly phrasing that.
Okay, I'm gonna type something for only people that have... Yeah, I'm gonna... This is something for only the people that don't know about the story. So me, Con, Simbart, whatever.
Well, screw us then.
Okay, specifically...
Wait, I remember...
You know what?
another thing
You
that
have a
we-
whole mystery
You know what?
chat.
Everybody...
Let us have
Alright,
this.
everybody can... It's okay.
I remember one other thing that was in my notes.
Wait, what do you mean we have an entire mystery chat? You guys have the Umineko channel! You guys can go talk in there whenever you want about Umineko stuff! You've always been able to do that!
You did a Shelly bone.
No, okay,
Yeah.
Zaz already knows this, probably. I'm trying to avoid it for Zaz, but he already
there are
knows it.
people who haven't.
Rindy.
Okay, I hope she didn't look then.
What?
Then don't look in
Don't look in Live General.
Alright, I'm deleting that now. See, you guys were like, oh, just tell us! It's like, I was gonna spoiler mark it, but but you were like, oh, it doesn't matter!
think everybody
you wanted to
assumed
fucking
that.
bring up, if you want to bring up Higurashi, you don't need Higurashi to solve Umineko.
Yeah,
I'm not. I was saying in a state of reality. I'm just saying that magic.
Okay, Bone. I think I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I just want to say, did magic exist or not? And I was using that as an example.
You should, to be honest, but you could to be honest, like, no, you're not at fault. I probably should have came in and just asked you to DM me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Like I wasn't using it. I was just using it as an example. That was it.
All right, look. Here's the thing. You're asking a concrete, like, yes or no question for something that seems to be very, very. There's a lot more of like an in-depth answer, I think, that people want to give than yes or no is the problem.
Well, we already gave our contextual specific answers. I was curious about what the overall.
You're over-explaining an answer that you think was already there, but
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm giving a fun little ask.
Yeah, he's just giving a fun little ask.
Okay,
I got what you were asking, Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just asking, hey guys, what do you think? Do you think there'll be a stinger where they go, oh, actually, magic existed all along? Is Feathering gonna say, alright, now time to close the story on this chapter and add another one, and magic away on our broom?
Yeah, okay.
Alrighty then. So, I think we're good.
It's like an Alice in Wonderland, but if there was like a weird card man that just showed up and did a little wink at the end.
It is about time to wrap up anyway, so we're going to close off the stream. Thank you all very much for presenting your theories, and we will be seeing you all, I guess, next week for the start of episode 7.
Okay.
Alrighty then. Good night.